Not okay, good. And the guys that have jigged, anyone sort of caught any decent fish like 10 kilo plus kingies or amberjacks?
Only heads.
Yeah, it's true. Okay, so that would have been a good one maybe. Do you guys, anyone here not from the Gold Coast? We're actually from Brisbane way, mate? Okay, Ready Bay, so yeah, same deal. It's the same scenario anywhere up the coastline, like we jig off 1770, we jig out the Swains, we jig up off Cairns, off Early Beach. Same style, same amberjacks, same kingies. Not so much kingies out north, but more amberjacks. So if you're ever up at the Swains Reef or something, get it to the outer edge in 100 metres, 120, exact same scenario, same style, and you just smash it, okay? So it works everywhere. Go down south off Sydney, same deal. South Australia, same deal. West Australia, same deal. So what we're going to do tonight, we're going to go through the gear from the start with the lures and the jigs and the tackle we put on the jigs, and then to the braid, leader, and the gear used to do it, the rods, the reels, and the accessories. And then we're going to do the scenario of going out fishing and how to do it. Okay, that's sort of going to work. We have a great fishery here for amberjacks and kingies. We have it nearly all year. The only thing that kills us is the current or the weather, obviously. But of recent, this year, for some unknown reason, it's been hardly any current. It's been good and bad. The sort of fishing on days when they don't want to bite, those don't bite because they're not using much energy, so they're not looking for food so much as they normally do. And the other thing too, we've had a lot of northerly current running from south to north. That sort of switches the fish off a bit as well. There's still no current, as far as I know.
Nah, it's still just trickling to the north.
Yeah. So there are days it does go a bit to the south, but most of the time it's either none or just to the north a little bit. But this is the time of year when the colder current comes in, colder weather, sorry, and the water does get a bit cooler. Down below, obviously it's cooler again down below. And they do swim up the coastline, I think from down south, the kingies, and they just rock up in numbers. And the next 3 to 4 months is the best time. And it's actually, we've had some of our best jigging times even up to November. So you just start to come into the prime time. How many guys here have boats under 5 metres? Okay. So for you guys, you will get fish. You don't get many on the 24s, although my son was out yesterday. I just had the bags trying to get the tail off Narranac, and they had 4 kingies about 10 to 15 kilos swim straight to the boat. So they just obviously lost us, I don't know. So they're only in my little 4.5 metre tinny. And they chucked plastics at them and hooked up, but they got snapped off, so they had flatter gear, tailor gear. But anyhow, but generally speaking, you don't get many on the 24s. You get obviously black king and stuff like that, but not so much kings and amberjack. Go down Tweed Heads though, you'll get them down the 9 mile in close. So do you fish down Tweed or you back up this way?
Haven't been, more back up this way.
Yeah, back up this way, yeah. Yeah, so 9 mile on the back end, I think it's one of the marks we'll go through later, is down there. So
in jigging around 9 miles?
Yeah, jigging the 9 mile on the southeastern corner of it. It's really good for kings. Live bait's obviously good too. But on the 36 fathoms east and northeast, especially to south of it actually, off sort of Broadbeach area. Yeah, that's really good. You get good amberjacks and kings there. Monster amberjacks actually. Yeah. But the beauty when you go jigging, and when most of you guys have done it, when you get in the rhythm of it, it's far more productive than using live baits. 5 to 1. So, we've been out on charter boats. We've done years ago. We used to do, before the insurance bullshit that goes on. We used to organise a group of you guys and go out on a charter boat and used to be on Sea Pro with Jared Weir, another boat, and I think our best day was 86 kings and amberjacks in one session with 8 guys.
So 86?
Yeah, all on jigs. And the other charter boats back those days were still Fat Hooker and I think it was Wahoo Charters. They were next to us with live baits doing the same school of fish, and they got about 12 or 15. Yeah, so you just can't get the same. It's like 6 guys, running fishing 6 guys at once, because the other guys who take turns get tired, right? And you just can't get that amount of fish on baits. It's a bit like soft plastics on flatties, same deal. can't get as many fish as you do on plastics as you can on boats.
Yeah,
No,
trying
right,
to
right,
triggers a real bite response with them, so
Yeah.
gets them all fired up.
Yeah.
Like really good.
It's hard work though. It's okay. So yeah, we'll go through the gear first. So I'll start at the probably the rods and reels, I guess. So some guys like to use spin, some guys like to use overhead. How many guys here use overhead? A few of you do? Yeah, and most of you obviously spin if otherwise. So in your spin gear, you want to reel about, for this sort of fish, around about 8,000 size or 6,000 minimum size, okay? Which is about that sort of size, that's a 6. That's my lightest outfit I use for kings and amberjack. I'm running 50-pound braid on that, and the rod's sort of rated to 24 kilo, 50-pound jig stick. And the lead on that 60 pounds, that's what I sort of run. On that one, I'm using jigs that are around about that sort of 130 to about 200 maybe, or 220, which will show you as we go through the jigs. The next rod up I use, these are actually my boys' ones, but I used to use them. So that's just a Saltus 6500, which now would be a Saltus 14,000, I guess,
Something
or
like that, yeah.
18,000. That's a 24-37 kilo. Oh, actually, it's a 24 kilo Torres, sorry. But I run 65-pound braid on that one. And then the next one up in size would be like a Saragossa, it's a 20,000 Saragossa with 80-pound on it. And that's on an 80 to 100-pound jig stick. So if I'm getting done on those, that comes out. But it's a lot heavier and a lot harder, so I try not to use it. I was a bit younger, it'd be all right. And in an overhead style, Stu, you use spin and overhead, you use both?
Yeah, I use a bit of both. Just one
Sorry,
quick.
go ahead, sorry.
I think if they're turned on that real fast, like high speed jigging, spin's definitely easier. It's just a lot easier to get that rhythm. But if it's kind of a little bit slower, you can do overhead pretty easy.
We'll show the technique a bit later. But in the small side, that's got 50-pound braid on as well. That's just a little Final, I think. Oh, it's a Final? Yeah, it is. They don't make those anymore, but that's my light outfit. So it's a little 30 to 50-pound jig stick, and small reel, 50-pound braid, 60-pound leader again. And this is actually my slow pitch rod, which I use in the deep water, but I also use it for jigging in that sort of depth as well, in that 80 to 100 metre mark. And if you've got a deep water slow pitch rod, because slow pitch is normally very soft, guys, right? You want a little bit stiffer, because if you're using jigs that are 300 or 400, you need the tip not to do much bending. So even though this is a slow pitch rod, it's very, very stiff because it's designed for sort of up to 800 gram jigs, so really big ones for deep water, slow pitch jigging. But it works high speed as well. And it's a 4,000 OSHA jigger. That's in the high end, that's probably our biggest selling jig reel. I recently did a trip up to the Swains on Big Cat Reality, and with a bunch of guys that are all YouTuber type guys and celebrities, whatever. And there was 16 of us on the boat, and I think 15 of the 16 guys had OSHA 2000s and 4000s. We didn't know each other, they're all different guys from all over the place, but it's just a really popular reel. Yeah. They don't break. And they have a lock function on them, so if you're about to get smashed, you can just prop your leg somewhere against the side of the boat and push the lock, and the drag doesn't slip. It just locks up. So either the line breaks or gets ripped out of your hand, or you go aboard, one of the three. Yeah, so that's it. So we'll go down to the gear. So lure-wise, any questions on the gear there, size? Sorry? Yep.
Do you prefer overhead or spinners?
I've got good rhythm on spinners. Yeah. With overheads, I tend to be not a bit skilled with. I don't mind slow pitch on overhead, but fast, I'm much better on spin.
Okay.
Yeah. It is a personal thing, and we've got guys that hate using spinners and only use overhead, and other guys reverse like me.
The electric
Yeah, so that's, I've got a couple of my mates one of my mates, is Jason, he's really good at electric jigging.
Yeah.
Just push the button, he's got it all programmed.
Yeah.
And just push the button and it stands there like this, and it's doing its thing and hooks up with a jig on it. So I don't know if that's probably a little bit cheating maybe. I don't mind these electric reels, but when it's jigging, yeah. Yeah, so, but I'm trying to work out how to do it, Tom. Yeah, because it's a lot easier. Has anyone, like, all you guys have jigged, right? Have you felt how hard it is to jig? Obviously, you know how hard it is to jig. It's really a funny thing. It's one of those things where once you get going, if you don't get a fish in 3 drops, you just want to put it away and go have a rest or have a drink or something and let your mate keep jigging away until he burns out. But if you get a fish in that first or second drop, you can keep going for hours, but you just, at the end, you're spent, you just collapse. But you'll generally get at least, I don't know, 8 to 10 fish up, maybe 3 or 4 hours of hard work before it finally gets to you. It's a real adrenaline thing, and you just, anticipation is amazing because you're jigging, and it's whack, and just, I don't know how those little kingfish are that big with a tail over that big, just about rip you overboard, they do. They're just amazing fish to catch, and amberjack's the same. Yeah, the biggest amberjack I've got out here landed is about nearly 40 kilos, and I got that on the sands. So I was lucky it wasn't on the reef. I looked at the end of the reef and the current was ripping about 2 knots south. So as soon as I hooked it up, I looked at the GPS and I knew I was off the reef, so it was just a matter of getting it up. But generally speaking, most of the fish are about 4 to 8 kilos or 10 kilos. Okay. Jig-wise. So as I was saying, 3 different weight rods, 3 different weight jigs more or less, but commonly your most popular jigs are going to be at the light end about 200 and 3 and 400 is going to be a fairly popular size. The reason being is normally you have current and wind, and when you're fishing 80 or 90 metres deep, you need your line to be pretty well vertical and you're backing up continuously. You really need, if you've got 3 guys in the boat, you can take turns 2 jigging. It's on a bad day, 2 guys jigging, 1 backing up on the helm the whole time, because your lines have got to be pretty well straight down. It's very hard to jig with your line on that angle behind the boat.
It just doesn't work.
It doesn't work,
no.
Really hard, so it's got to be vertical. So, but whether, like say tomorrow and Saturday, and there's no current, you can fish away and then have a fat time, yeah. So, getting back to the rods and reels, as I was saying before, probably, I'll pass these around, 120 on that light wouldn't be as light as I'd use on a current day if there's not much current. But if I'm fishing the 24 fathoms or 50 metres or 70 metre marks, outside edge of 36s, I'd be using that sort of size up to about 200, okay? I'll pass both those around. That would be the maximum and that would be the lightest. So if you, the 220 grammer, you can definitely use that out in the 50 fathoms as well. So in jigs, guys, you've got 2 types of jigs. You've got like you got obviously slow pitch jigs, which are more flat oval, beveled one side, flat the other side, so they pitch around and then they'll wobble and then they'll shoot off again on the fall. And then you have like a fast, heavy one, like that style of thing there, which is designed to go down like a rocket, but it doesn't have much flutter. It's just a different version of, say, these are the same weight. So that's 400 grams and that's 400 grams, okay? So, but believe it or not, even though that one there's longer, that actually sinks quicker. It's like a knife, it's going straight down through the water. It's very, very fast. So you need to have both styles, because some days they want that little bit different shape, fall, and other days they just want it to be like hardcore, zipping away fast, long. So most of your fast jigging is quite long jigs, okay? Not the slow pitch. But there are days when like slow pitch jigging it was also good for kings and amberjack, and there's days where, especially for us recently, that works better than fast. So I'm not saying you need to have lots of jigs, but you need to have both styles in the boat. You're going all that way out there, and they're not liking the long jig on the day, and you need to go flutter jig, then do it. And flutter jig's like that style there. So like I was saying before, it's flat on one side and beveled on the other. I'll pass these around too. This is like the 2 sort of sizes I'll be using around, or maybe down to 130 actually, but that's the sort of thing, yeah.
And the action on that slow jig's obviously a lot slower.
Yeah.
So you don't have to put the action in, the jig's got a lot more action on that sink. Kind of does its own thing.
So has anyone slow pitch jig before? Yeah, it's gentleman's jigging, but the fish just smash it, they jump on. So you don't get burnt out like you do with the long jigs. The long jigs you can't work slow, it doesn't work. So you've got to rip into those really fast and get the rhythm happening. But the slow pitch, you can just sort of jig it up and drop it down. But it does all the work for you on the fall. it flutters and it shoots away, and that's what gets them going.
Do you slowly wind it as you're doing it?
Sometimes I'll do a little bit of a burn, a rip with slow pitch because it's a bit boring, so to speak, because it's just doing that all the time.
Yeah.
And a lot of time when you're jigging, you have a bad habit of, you up say 30 metres off the bottom, you're 80 or 90 metres deep, and you think, oh, okay, we'll go for another drift, and you start ripping it up. Next to it, whack, you get slammed, you know.
Yeah.
So then you think, okay, I'm going to use this technique. So at about 5 or 10 metres off the bottom, so then I'll just do a couple of slow pitches, and I'll just rip it a bit, and next to it, whack, you're on, you know.
Yeah.
So you've got to alter it a bit, rather than just be that. I've got a couple of mates that are really good jigging, and they'll actually do like a scissor action, like this sort of thing. They'll sway it
Oh, okay.
like that, and that gets smashed too. And I'll start doing that way. It works as well. You know, as I say, you've got to get the technique to work out. You've got to work all these different techniques or lures to work out what's happening on the day. Then once you work it out, you just don't miss. Yeah. So get a couple of mates that had a big night on the booze, and they're going to jig real weird, and they're the ones who, if they start catching them, just do that technique. Yeah. Okay, there's endless amounts of jigs, guys. So, this is again another sort of, these are both very similar. This one's Japanese made, and this is a cast. They're sort of like a flutter jig, but they do flutter. They're not like a slow pitch jig where it sort of flutters and rolls over and shoots away. These just flutter, okay? And you'll see when they come around, try and take note of how the shape of the body is, and you'll understand what I'm talking about. And I'll pass this around here because this one's already hooked up. Most jigs don't come with hooks, just let you know that. Some do, some don't. But you'll see most of the hooks are at the top. Does anyone know why they're at the top?
It's not an anchor.
We actually want you to put it at the bottom so it's caught in the bottom and you can't get it back up. But that's not the reason. The reason being is when you're doing fast jigging, slow jigging is not too bad, you can have top and bottom. But when you're doing fast jigging and you're ripping it up, the lure tends to do a reverse every time you jig up, it swings around like that. And if you've got hooks on the bottom, it hooks up onto your line, and then you've got to pull the thing all out 80 something metres to unhook it to drop it back down again. It's a pain in the backside, and it's quite heavy to pull up as well. If it's on the top, the hooks hook up at the top, those fall back down again. Does that make sense? So that's the reason why we have hooks at the top. So any fast jigging, hooks are only at the top, nothing at the bottom, okay? And if you got slow pitch jigging, you can have it both. You still might get caught in the bottom, mate, but it's not as bad as you think. No. Okay, I'll pass that around to Stu. So this is like the last two come around, sort of a bit of a both jig. And then we get into, last two of the fat type jigs. This one here is what we call like all the weights at the bottom of it. This is actually quite a good smart jig, this one. So it tends to always hinges. So it's doing that rock type thing as you're pulling it up as well. As soon as you drop it down, it always turns around, and it works really well as well. Again, hooks at the top here. No, like, even though we get customers that put the hooks on the wrong end. I'll ask them how they went. I'll bring their jig in or whatever to get new hooks on it. And the hooks are on this end, the swivel's on this end, or the rings attached it to, nothing on this end. And I go, did you catch fish? It's got like half the thing ripped off the paint. And they go, yeah, it worked really well. And I'm like, So I think it's a matter of, again, experimenting on which end to try. But most of the jigs are designed, thin end is the hook end and fat end's the bottom with no hooks, unless you slow pitch. It's the big heavy one. And then we get into the really long jigs. So in the really long jigs, they're not that heavy, they're just really long, but they sink much faster. So this 400 gram jig, I've jigged with that one out in 500 metres deep for cod. And we did a test with 4 kilos of lead on an electric reel, and they hit the bottom pretty well at the same time. So 400 gram versus 4 kilos. So I was pretty impressed. But I'll pass these three around. These are really good. You do have one of the 250 grams in your bags tonight, guys. That's a really good jig, okay? Thank you. So they're the ones who just can only go fast, okay? So as they get shorter and dumpier, you can do slow pitch and you can do fast. But these fellas are only fast. And always only hook at the top, because those ones get really hooked up bad if you do try to do hooks at the bottom.
Question, that one, you said the heavy end normally,
Yeah, so the eye's at the wrong end.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's correct, and it works. No. It's like a squid, Greg. It's going in reverse. But I've hooked them up the other way, and they work that way as well, mate. Yep. Just to, I'll show. When that goes around to the end, let's get one of you guys to bring one of these back up. One of those long ones. I'll just show you. Actually, can I grab one now, Greg? Just that one's all right. Yep, that's fine. So a lot of these jigs that don't look lumo, most of them have a lumo belly up the bottom here. Once you get into that sort of 80, 90 metre depth, you're starting to get dark in the bottom. And a lot of these are lumo blue, the better Japanese ones are. And if you run just a blue torch down the bottom here, I don't know if I've even got the light on here, but it's lumo blue. I'll just charge it up and pass it around. Hopefully it's still going when it gets around there to the guys at the back. But it really gets them going, seeing that lumo blue thing, I guess, dart around through the water, right? Not working the best route, but if you put it in your hands, you see it. Thanks, Stu. Thanks for that, Greg. Yeah.
so I've probably got a lot of jigs with the hook on the wrong end.
Maybe. So guys, just grab yourself, if you get the opportunity, just grab yourself a blue torch as well. So not a flashy one, but does everyone know what a blue torch is? So, or black light blue torch? Ultraviolet, correct. It just enhances, glows super quick, super fast. Okay.
I've got them downstairs.
Got them downstairs. Got a cheap version and good version. I will tell you about this one too, guys. How many guys here do FD knots and knots, so that type of thing? Okay, so this one has like a little burner on the back side of it here, like so, and there's like 4 little points around. I'll pass it around, but please don't zap yourself like a guy did last seminar. But it has a little, can you see that at all? That little flame there. So you just put the this little button on the side that makes it turn on, and you put the end of your knot on there just to fluff it up a bit so it doesn't pull through. And you just push that little silver thing down, it pops open like that. We'll pass that around too.
Bring on the end of your mono.
On the mono, yeah. Not your braid. It'll catch on fire. Okay, we'll go to the terminal side for. Thanks a lot, mate. The terminal side for your lures. So a lot of guys don't understand the size of the hook to the size of the lure to the size of the line you're using. So line and hook size is probably more relevant than lure size. So if you've got too big a hook and too light a line, even though hooks are sharp these days, you just won't get that hook in. Even though you're going fast, you might be able to drive it in, but it's very relative to match the hook to the line before you match it to the lure. Okay? So if you've got too thin a hook and you've got heavy line, then it becomes the reverse. The hook actually will bend out on a good fish because the line becomes stronger than the hook. Something's got to give. So sometimes the fish's mouth will give, but generally the hook will give if it's too thin. So get the hook right first. Next thing is the ring and the solid ring. So when we rig it up, we have say you got just a naked lure. So on the top of the lure at the right end, you'll put a split ring on there. Then you put a solid ring on the split ring, and then a lot of the hook rigs actually have rings on the end of the hook rig, or just a loop. That then goes on to the split ring, and you tie off on the solid ring. Okay, does that make sense? We might actually get straight rig on up here, and we'll pass it around.
Got a pair of flies.
Yeah, mate. Yeah. And so what happens then is you can actually have your rig, as long as you've got the similar size lures to what you're going to be using all the time, you actually have the rig tied to the ring, to the solid ring, and you just take the lure off the rig, and the rig stays on your rod all the time. So when you travel out to the spot in the morning when you wake up, you've already got your rig on the rod, so there's no big
Is it just like a loop not moving?
you can put a loop on, you can tie it directly, Tom. Either or. So it enables you to, because it's very hard to keep a jig attached to your rod when you're travelling along, bouncing over waves, right? So you just have the rig attached to your guide, whatever, and then you just put it on. And most of them you can put on without a pair of split ring pliers. But split ring pliers help. So while Stu's doing this, with split ring pliers, guys, it's important to get the one that's, again, ones that you use on your flatty lures won't work for jigs. It's too small on the nipple and the point. You'll need to get yourself some that's got a big end on the end there. Okay, open split rings up. So as this comes around, you'll see how it is. Your solder rings where you tie your line to, your leader to. Okay. In the hooks, there's different types of hooks. You've got hooks that are, again, we call them naked hooks. So they're just, yeah, like that, that's it. Thanks, Stu. Just a hook that's undressed. A lot of the hooks these days come with like tinsel and all that sort of stuff on the end there. So years ago, and still current, I still use them these days, that was the first sort of hooks that come out. They're all like heat shrinked, and that's how they used to be, and stiff action, and they still do work, and I still do have some of those on my jigs. And then we come out with the sort of Dyneema attached to the end of it. These are still popular, the styles is like second generation. And then our third generation come out with tinsel and Lumo glue and all the good things that you want, as well as a lot lighter in the in this material here. So it enables the hook to be more fluttering around the jig, and hookup rates by far better, especially on micro jigs. But at the same time, if you're chasing like dogtooth tuna up north or bigger fish out here, you need to go to a very heavy Dyneema, like that type of thing, like looks like ship rope. But that's what you always get bitten off, right? Like ship. No, it's not ship rope. It looks like it. No, it's like a Dyneema. Do you know what it is?
I don't know, it's like woven. It's like Kevlar type stuff.
Kevlar type stuff, yeah. It's very hard to bite through and cut through.
Well, they do it with like wire assists as well.
Yeah, got wire assists. Actually, I'll pass those three styles around. That'll give you some idea, yeah. Thanks.
Hey, Dougie, after telling me the hook goes at the little end,
Yep.
that's a big end.
Yep, so that's like, those ones actually like a centre weight. So that one's actually the weight's in the centre of the grig. The both ends are about the same. Almost, yeah. So you could either do it either end on that one. Yeah.
There's no right and wrong.
Just drop it at the bottom and start jigging. Yeah. But generally on the lighter end. Heavy end at the bottom. Any questions on that so far? Just with your rings, guys, if you're going to use split rings, get the ones that got flat sides on them. So flat sides are like tempered, so they're a lot harder, a lot tougher. The round ring ones are easier to open up. Well, on a big fish they are. They're also, when you tend to use the pliers on them, they'll stay a little bit open a little bit as well. The tempered ones will sort of spring back.
Just
Okay.
the weights though, Dougie, like
Yep.
the weights you go by, like the 200 grams, sort of they usually start at 200 metres.
Okay, I'll weight the jig to the position you're going to be fishing, do you mean?
So straight up and down.
Yeah, straight up and down. Yeah, it's a little bit different with fast jigging. Okay, so normally with, say, Lacanis type jigs or flooded jigs, yeah, that's about a gram a metre.
Okay.
So 40 metres, 40 grams, 100 metres, 100 grams.
Yep.
But this one, when you do the fast action, it needs to sink really quick. So if it's too light, and you use an 80-pound braid, it's going to be very slow to go back down, and it won't get the effect that you need it to do. It's got to shoot away when you drop it back down again before you lift it back up. Because the timing is you've got to sort of jig it, and then you want to take out the slack and be caught up to it before it's just about to take the slack up, and then rip it back up again.
Okay.
So it's like that all the way up, sort of thing, without getting time to actually do that.
Yep.
Yeah. So you're keeping up to it all the way up, in other words. Yeah, so it's different. So 400 grams, 100 metres. Maybe times it by 4, how's that sound? So if you're in 25 metres, 100 grams.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, 40 metres or 50 metres, maybe 200 grams, yeah.
Okay, cool.
It's probably about getting close, maybe by 2 or 4.
It's always a lot easier to actually jig with resistance there as well. Like if you try fast jigging something really light, it's actually really awkward.
It's very awkward, yeah.
Whereas if you've got something to like pull against you, you know where it is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
But when you're slow pitching, complete opposite, because
Yeah.
you're just taking it easy. You want it to sort of flutter, and it sounded like doing a floating pilly type effect down, you know,
Yeah.
and they get hit on the way down. Yeah. Yep. Jigging is actually one of those hard to explain but easy to do type things. Yeah. So that's your rings, and then solid rings. Make sure you're using. So I generally use about a size 7. 7 I'll do mostly fishing out here from little jigs to big jigs, and most size 7 good split rings are about 40 to 50 kilos in strength. So your line's generally under that in power, and your solid rings are about 150 kilos, 80 kilos or something like that. So it's heaps strong enough. So just remember size 7, maybe 8 max. When you go chasing big doggies with those big hooks coming around, you need like 12s and 10s, 200 kilo stuff. Any questions on the jigs, guys, at all? No? Okay. Braid. So we've got our jigs organised, we've got our rod and reel, but we'll talk about braid first before that, but anyhow, we'll do it now. There's braid and there's braid. So there's two types of braid really. There's very, very thin braid for its strength, and there's very, very powerful braid and it's thick. But it's not so strong. It's not so strong, so it doesn't make sense.
Generally, the thick stuff is powerful, as Dougie says,
that's
which
right.
I just say strong.
Yeah, that's right.
But it breaks well above what it says, whereas the thin stuff breaks nearly what it says.
Or even just a tiny bit under. So give you some example. This is just Nomad. It's just a good braid. Don't get me wrong, the Pandora, and it's Pandora. Sorry. It's 50 pounds and 0.37 in thickness, okay? And it would definitely break probably over
Above
still the
50
same.
pound,
Probably break at 70 or 80. But when you go to thin braids, they go to the next level a bit more, but you pay a bit more for them. Except for this one's the grapple's probably our biggest seller in thin braids, right? It's it's actually thinner, 0.35, and it's 99 pounds. Okay, does that make sense? So I'll pass them two around, that'll give you some idea what I'm talking about. Here's another example. This is Tasline. The Tasline's pretty popular. Not as popular as it used to be, but unfortunately it's only in white, so a lot of guys like to use Me Too colours when they're jigging. It's 60 pound, but it breaks at about 90 pounds, okay? But the thickness on this one is 0.42.
They do that.
Yeah, they do, but still ammonite. But it's we get that downstairs too. But it's still not as thin as like the old stuff. Yeah. This is so that was 0.42. That's 60 pound, breaks at about. It's a good line too. Breaks at about 90. This is 0.42 and it's 134 pound. So you're getting probably around about 30% more power in the thinner ones, if that makes sense. So it enables you to go down thinner. That's what we're trying to get at. So you can go down to probably 0.30 and get 90 pounds. So therefore the thinner the braid, it all comes back to the thickness. The thinner the braid, the less current, the less out the back of the boat, the more easier the jig falls and the more nicer it is to use. It's not that much dearer, in some cases it's cheaper than some brands, but it's by far easier to use. Okay. Any questions on the braid? Okay, we'll go to the leader. Okay, leader is leader's probably your first point of contact that's going to break. Okay, so whether the fish gets on a rock down the bottom or whether it's just too light, but generally it's going to be a case of them busting off on the bottom, or their tail flute on the side of their tail is going to hit the leader and break it off maybe. But for the guys fishing under, say 70 metres, I'd be using around 60 to 80 pounds. And get yourself a leader that's very, very strong in abrasion resistance, but at the same time quite supple. So it needs to be like quite loose. Does that make sense?
Is that mono or?
Mono. Yeah, no. Don't use fluorocarbon. I personally wouldn't use fluorocarbon over about 50 pound on jigs, only because it's tends to be quite stiff and you lose the action a fair bit of your lure. But the beauty of 50 pound is it would be stronger than the 60. So 50 in fluorocarbon is about like 70 or 80 in mono in abrasion resistance. So you can, in that case, that's why I use 50. Once you get to about 60 or 80 pound fluorocarbon, It's just getting too stiff and too thick. Good for live baiting, good for trolling lures or whatever it might be, but not good for doing that sort of thing. I'd much rather go up a heavier one. So 60, 80 pound would be your next step up. When you're getting bust off on those big kingies and amberjacks, I'd suggest you keep something around about 100 to 130 pound in the boat. This is 130. Again, it's quite a supple one for 130. It's quite nice. A lot of 130s is like that, right? Terrible. This is Japanese, of course, and that's what you got to use if you're getting smashed. Around that's 130. So we had Brody come on site. I don't know what happened to Brody, but one of our customers is going to come on site and do a little bit of talk. He does a lot of big fish. We're actually out last year around August, I think it was, and we got our first drift. The three of us got absolutely smoked. We couldn't get one fish up, and then we went up for another drift. And as I'm driving out there, Brody, who's going to come on tonight, I could see him in the distance. I went up to him and I said, "Oh, how you going?" And he goes, "Mate, they're on." I said, "Yeah, I know. We just done by 3 fish." He goes, "What size lead do you use?" And I said, 80. And he goes, "Not strong enough." I said, "Why is that?" And he goes, "Well, we started off at 80, got smashed, went to 100, got smashed. Then we used a 120, 130, I can't remember what it was." And he said, "We finally got one up." And I said, "What'd you get?" And he holds up his amberjack, about 30 something kilos. And he said, "That's what they are, the big amberjacks, you know." So you've got to go, you would never know unless you had luck or you upgraded to a heavier leader. So please keep different size leaders in your boat. It's not bad value for insurance.
Why wouldn't you just go straight to the heavy stuff?
Because the action's better and sometimes the fish are timid. But on the day when they're biting like they were that day, it
Doesn't really matter.
doesn't matter. They don't care. No, it's like anything. When fish are on the bite, they don't really care. But you've got to get them. That's only very lucky you get that sort of stage every now and then.
What's the minimum? What's the minimum and the maximum leader?
Minimum would be for jigging £60 for this sort of jigging. 130 or 150. If I was up north Queensland chasing doggies, maybe 200 or something like that. You have to probably crimp it at that stage. Yeah. And you have 130. You can tie 130, but then over that you got to crimp. So you need a set of crimpers on board to do that. Yeah. Leader length. No one's asked about leader length yet, but leader length is a quite important part. On an overhead, my leader is always longer than my spin outfit. Stewie likes long out on the spin, don't you, mate?
Yeah, I use it fairly. I use about, I don't know, arms width, 6 foot.
Your arm's like 10 foot long.
But yeah, I wouldn't use like 3 meters, put it that way.
Yeah. So on my overhead, I do use like 3 meters. I just find I like to get it on the reel and the fish is out there and I can come and gaff it or grab it, whatever. But when it goes off an overhead, it rolls off quite easy, right? But on a spin reel, you've always got that catch if it's too long and it's a pain in the backside. And when you open the bail up, it goes spring everywhere. So I keep it short.
Are you using the swivel or not? Which are the two braid to the
Okay, some guys do, I don't, Tom, but a lot of guys do use a swivel on top of the, so instead of using a ring, a solid ring, they use a split ring onto the swivel. A swivel to the split ring. Yeah, so swivel, split ring, lure on the split ring. Yeah, and you can still have that attached and take it off. Some of our customers use the swivel with the grommet or snap swivel. Does he use a snap? Jack that's in today.
Yeah, snap.
Snap, does he?
Yeah.
Is that right?
Just use the snap straight to the jig.
Yeah. Some guys do that too. I don't know if I'd use a snap, but I definitely might use a swivel onto the ring, split ring. Yeah, but I don't normally do it. I just have a solid ring and tie it straight to it.
The swivel's not, the snap ring's not come off when the fish smashes it? Because
it's got to,
you're not using those.
Correct, matey. It's got to be high quality. That's what Stuart's probably going to say.
Yeah, it's got to be pretty tough.
So a little one that, like some of the little ones we carry downstairs, they're tiny, but they're like 60 to 80 kilos, and real 60 to 80 kilos. Like even have problems squeezing it yourself, you know. But the ones that are thin or most crappy snap swivels, guys, and we do have some downstairs, but they're at a price, they're cheap. Are the ones with the long, like a little swivel with a long snap on it. They're always the cheap ones. The shortest snap is always the better quality one.
If they don't have any fingers, they're not good
That's correct. Yeah, that's right. It's not saying those little ones, they're hard to open up, you know. So get back to your question. Yeah, you can use snap. Yeah. Yeah, that's probably better than that. Okay, so we've done the leader, we've done the tying the knot. Okay, so on my spin reel, sorry, get back on my spin reel, I'm using about 1.5 meters. I try and think, okay, how big's the biggest one? Maybe 6 foot long, so it might be 1.8 meters on the spin reel. That's it. And I always do a little tiny double, like just a bimini twist, a short one, and then join that to the mono. I believe like going sort of, especially if I'm using like 100 plus, so if you're using like 60 pound or 50 pound braid and going to 100 pound mono, it's quite a big gap. And it's very thin to very thick and just doesn't quite look right, doesn't work right. But if I do sort of 50, then I believe a double's probably worth about 80 pound if it's doubled 50 in strength. Going to 100 pound leader, so 50, 80, 100, it seems to be the perfect scenario. Yeah, so anything that's more than double the size of the braid you're using, you should always, as in the leader, sorry. So if you're using 50 pound and 100 pound, you should always double it up. If you're going 50 to 80, I would probably just do a whatever knot, tie it directly without a double.
Is that because of the action?
I use that, it's a mental thing I do on everything that I fish with. Whether it be a flathead rod I'm using 4 pound braid and 12 pound leader, I'll still double up the 4. I'll never go 4 to 12 because it does break easy. But if you do the double part in between, it's a little one, it's very hard to break it. The action, that's not hampered at all because braid's very thin. Yeah.
If you tie an FG, but it's sweet, you don't have to double it. Yeah. Dougie's just not that advanced.
I don't have time. I'm going to get back down there.
But nah, like an FG, you can tie like say 15 pound to 80 pound leader, and it's fine. Won't slip. And it's a little bit bulky on the join, but it's fine. Yeah.
I was always worried about cutting in. That's my biggest fear. But I don't know. So that's your leader. Next tool is gloves. So, you know, I don't know if you guys have done like a full 6-hour session jigging, but you will get blisters even if you're a tradesman. You'll get blisters. You get blisters on your thumb, you get blisters on your forefinger, and sometimes the middle one too. It's always from the handle or whatever you're using. It just happens. So, has anyone got blisters from jigging yet? You have, you know what I mean, matey? And once you get a blister and it breaks, it's really hard to jig. You can't take the effort. So, we get girls' gloves. Yeah, that's right. These gloves come in different colours and sizes and types and brands. I like black ocean ones. The Shimano's ones, but they are a godsend. And if you're popper fishing and ever go out the reef popper fishing, that same scenario. When you do 8 hours of popper casting, you've got to wear gloves because your fingers get hammered. It's from the handle. Okay? So my suggestion, if you're going to get into it, get yourself a pair of gloves. Simple as that. You can use them for when you're marlin fishing, grabbing the beak, whatever later in life as well. A good pair of pliers to get the hooks out of the mouth. When you're using quite big solid hooks, it's quite hard to get them out of the mouth. Make sure you get a good pair of pliers. And fillet knives, make sure you get something that's fairly long if you're going to keep them. So, as we all know, Kingies and Amberjacks, if you're not into sashimi, you should try it. It's really, really good. So, the secret is to brain spike. I didn't bring a brain spike up, I got them downstairs, I forgot again. But brain spike every fish you catch, okay? Do you all know the app,
Icky something.
Icky.
Is it Icky Picky?
It's
Something
like
weird,
Icky Picky. Yeah.
That'd be better.
Misako,
Icky Jimmy.
Icky Jimmy, that's it. Thank you. Gerald's on it. So it's Icky Jimmy, and it shows you every fish, every different species, where to punch it in. And and we sell the Icky Jimmy tool that done that app. I think they did that app. I don't know if it's them or not. Downstairs as well, and it floats if you drop it overboard. So, but when you spike them, the meat is so much better, guys. It's so much better. Okay, there's no lactose build up. It's just perfect. And obviously, the next thing we do is we still cut their throats, and then we or bleed them in the gill rake, and then we put them straight onto ice slurry. Okay.
bright spot makes that much difference, does it?
On all fish, Tom, doesn't matter if it's a...
Doesn't matter if it's a flathead or
Yeah,
a...
exactly right. But definitely snapper and pearlies we do it as well. I'll write down later, guys, so you can have a look. Sorry? It's a long word. It is a long word. Sorry, guys.
Sorry, we're all trying to work out how to spell.
Yeah, okay, that's a good thing. Okay, I think it's spelled... Oh, I don't want to take this off the board. I'll write it down later and I'll drop this off the board. Is that right? Oh, do you know how to do it, Jim? Great.
Sorry?
Do you know how to do it? What the spelling is?
Yeah, just got it.
Okay, Misako's got one. She's onto it. Thanks, Doug. Okay, this is the tool. Icky Pick. You're close, man. And the app is definitely Ikijime. Ikijime. Okay. Is it?
2 words.
Jimmy. Iki, 2 words, Jime. Okay. So I'll pass this around and you'll understand when you look at the app how to do it. Okay. And as soon as you spike it in, the fish just stop. I wish dolphin fish would stay still to put it on. It's a bit hard with dollies. But
Yeah, long time to get it in.
yeah, you got to sort of sit on top of them and do it. But anyhow.
Looking at that downstairs.
Sorry?
I said I was looking at them downstairs.
Yeah, no, they're good. They're good.
It works great for personal frustration too.
Okay, so that's about it for the a gaff. Okay, with the gaff, guys, we had one here, but it's gone downstairs. Oh, there's one. No, it's gone downstairs. So with a gaff, you want something that's not too big in the gape. You need about a 3-inch gape on the gaff, and it needs to be about a 3-foot handle, or 4-foot handle, depending on the size of your boat. If you've got a big boat, that's a flybridge or something that's 4 foot out of the water, you'd probably need a 5-foot gaff. It's all relative. But don't have the gape too big. And when you do the gaff shot, Stu's still getting the knees on his gaff shots.
Yeah, Dougie's gut's got a gape about that big.
Well, that day we're going to catch a little fish too. Anyhow, what you do is that you lead the fish towards the boat at the same time as the fish come towards you. Same with mackerel and dogfish and everything. As the fish comes towards you, you go into the gaff around the head shot and then straight into the boat. The momentum's all at the same time. You never miss. But if you try and do a middle shot while they're swimming past, they'll keep swimming past and take your gaff out of your hand. You've got to do it in the head and into the boat at the same time. And you whack them or whatever. But generally by the time they're pretty well stuffed, and you just do that straight into the head, they'll die straight away. Yeah. Okay, any questions on that at all? So I've gone through all the gear, okay? Okay, then I'm going to tell you how to do it. So I'll do the spots first, then I'll show you the technique, how we've got different technique. But I've got a scenario here, guys. So I don't know if you can see it down the back there. Can you see okay down there, guys? So this is 0 to 100 metres, right? We're out in 80 metres of water sort of thing. That's 0, 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, 70, 80, 90, 100. The bottom here is 80, comes up to about, well, that's 70, so 75, say. And this is like a zoomed in picture over here of that picture. So it's now zoomed in this bar here. So learn to, rather than just pushing like 4 zoom or 8 zoom, learn to try and do a shift mode so you can actually move it, scroll it up and down your area over here. So that might be up there, but you bring it down to that area. And then you can zoom in on that or zoom out on that, okay? That always works better. And the definition or the power down to the bottom is a lot more held in that area.
It's a cleaner picture.
It's a cleaner picture. That's the word I'm trying to find next to it. So
You're saying on the right, you've actually gone into your settings and said, only show me
Yeah.
60 to 100 metres or something.
correct.
Yeah.
And then you zoom in
So,
on that.
yeah, that's right. Yeah, it's split in 2. So some sounders have upper and lower limit. You actually put it in
Yeah,
where
that's
you want.
Yeah, so you're not just hitting zoom.
No, it's not in zoom, and the picture's much better.
Yeah, favourite.
Or the power's emphasised in that area, not that area. So that's looking between 55 and 85. So 55 and 85. So 55, 60, 65, 75. Oh, that should be 75 anyhow, whatever. Sorry, I was a bit dyslexic on the day. So that picture there's that picture there blowing up. So what we're looking for, guys, we're looking for bait. And the kings are always on the bait. You've got to find bait to find kingies. If you can't find the bait, you won't find kingies. It might be the odd one swimming around the bottom down here, but to get them in numbers, it needs to be that sort of like scenario where they're hanging off the bait and you're jigging the bait, okay? And that's just a bigger picture of that, like I was saying. There might be a bit of wireweed here, so there's probably pearlies and snapper in the area too, but predominantly it's going to be kingies and amberjack. Try and find stuff that's got fairly steep walls, they like structure. So like, you know, pearlies and snapper that might like this little bit over here, it's rubbly, but the kings and amberjack are like a pinnacle that can hold the bait that will hold them. So you need to find structure. That's why for you gentlemen there, the 9 mile works so good. The back southeast corner of it's just a steep drop, 30 metres straight down. Yeah. And also the back edge of the 36s, it's sort of like, if you go to 36 fathom reef, it's sort of like 64, then it'll come up to, I'll say 66, 64, and it'll come up to like 62 on the inside edge. And then it'll go down, and then the back edge will go down to about 68. Yeah. So they're always on the back edge and then the front. Snap a bit at the front. Yeah. Pearlies and pearlies tend to hang around kings and AJs. They're probably eaten too, by the way. But they're in that same sort of back side of the reef. That's what they both like. Okay. So scenario. So that's those 3 pinnacles there. Are those 3 pinnacles there in my plotter? So I've gone to my plotter now, and that's them marked there. And they're probably around about, I don't know, 80 metres apart, or maybe 100 metres apart. And that's north up on my GPS. Try and do north up, guys, if you can. I don't like the rotating helicopter type style. Go around in circles. And you can see, you know, if you're going that way, you're going south, you're going that way, you're going north, right? So it's pretty easy. And that's most of my spots I find are generally in that sort of shape on my GPS all the time. They're never vertical. They're always on a bit of an angle, northwest to southeast. And I always have my plot trail going, but I haven't done that today just to confuse you, but just to show you this scenario here. So the wind's blowing, just say we're going out on Saturday, the wind's blowing northwest 10 knots, and the current's running south, which it was, at 1.2 knots. So the wind's going that way, but the current's, the wind's going that way and the current's going that way. So you're both drifting it. So it's a bit faster than normal, right? So you'll need to back up that type of day and continuously back up because you're just drifting too fast. So your drift pattern on that day, so you've got northwesterly wind, and so you're going to drift in this fashion that way, okay? So what I'll do is I might rock up at this, when I first come out from here, from the seaway, I get to here, and then I'll come from here, and I'll do a drive up over that, and over that, and I've seen all this, right? And that big pinnacle there's the one that's first one here. Okay, so I've gone past that, I'm now over here somewhere, and I'm sitting about here. But before I do that, the first thing I do, when I come from the seaway, I'll get to here and I'll just get all the jigs ready, everything's done up, and I'll just do a blind drift. So I might actually come from here, and I've just done a drift while I'm getting stuff ready and realise I've gone that direction sort of thing, which is nearly the same. That's why I go on that direction up. Okay, so if I'd done the drift again, and I just for about 3 minutes while I get my gear ready, and I've drifted that way, then I'm going to go probably start about here and sounder up in this direction here, like that. Okay, does that make sense? It does. And hoping that maybe those ledges sort of run that way a little bit. And I haven't marked spots over there, but what I'll do is I'm driving up, because I know I'm going to I might just drift that a bit more of an angle. Slight angle like that, which is the same direction as that. And on the way up, I might have thought, okay, oh, that's a new bit of reef. There's some good fish right here. I put a little icon on the screen, and there's another one over here, which probably is a continuation of that, if that makes sense. So then what I'll do, I'll go up here, and I'll turn around with my back facing into the wind, and drop our lines down and start jigging, hopefully in this area here, before I get to that first spot which is here. Does that make sense? Yep. And then as I'm drifting along, we'll jig away. Hopefully one of us is hooked up here. If we haven't hooked up, we'll just drift on a bit further. The line's at the bottom again, and the boat's here. And I'll just back up a little bit again, a little bit of movement like that on the GPS. And I've backed up a little bit to get our lines vertical. And then we'll start jigging again. And hopefully, sometimes you got like that 20 or 30 metre gap between the pinnacle you just went over and the next one. You still keep jigging though, because you just can't help yourself. You just keep jigging. But if you're a bit tired, you might drift down and then start jigging around here and back up also around here, and hopefully get those fish in that middle area there, in this area here. Okay, and then the last spot, which is down here, which is the big one, which is what I know we're going to get it. I'll still obviously keep jigging through here, and then when I get to around this area here, again, I'll back up right there so the lines are vertical, so I can get in the best hit spot on that one there, and keep going maybe past it a little bit, okay, before I go back up for another drift again. Is that any?
That's
Sorry.
slow when you drift up using your electric motor.
If you've got an electric motor, you can do that, but not many guys have electric motors. But if you've got the luxury of electric motor, when there's not much current, probably that sort of current 1.2 knots, you could use electric, no problems at all. And yeah, you'd be stopping probably right about here somewhere, or right about here. If the current's going to the south, you'll be actually hanging the other way. So your bow will be into the wind, and your backside will be here.
That's it.
And you'd be dropping your jig right down on this baby here, or yeah. So yeah, mate, yeah, definitely. And if you want to use a parachute, it's really hard to jig and use a parachute at the same time, as in a sock, because it tends to be around too many lines in the water when you're jigging. If you're just bottom bashing straight down, I know you're jigging straight down, but your jig doesn't stay straight down. It ends up going out all the time, so you've got to keep backing up. So that's the first scenario. Does that all make sense, guys?
Yes.
Okay, so get a little bit of current. So you're going to be drift's not going to be too fast, but definitely make sure your line's vertical all the time. Back up, back up, back up.
Do you always jig all the way to the top, or do you sort of
No. So my jig. That's a really good question. My jig area is going to be. Let's try to find a different colour pen here.
This is where the multicolored braid comes into.
Yeah,
because you
exactly.
can you don't count it going out, down, who cares? But you count it coming
The
up.
strike colour on the way up.
Yeah.
So every time I get hit, I look straight at my braid and see what colour it is. And then next time I drop down, I'll do that same drift again. I'm ready, because that's normally either they're following it and that's where they want to hit it at, or you're in the area where they are, this gets hit. So see those fish there, they're like 60 metres up, so they're up around here somewhere, they're up there. So I'll probably jig right up to around this area here, around 40 metres, so you're halfway up. And I know that sounds like a long way off the bottom, but they'll come that far up and hit you. And you always get those fish because they just can't get down more than about 10 or 20 metres with the drag up, or they're fairly done up. So you'll get those fish, but I always crap myself when I get a big fish on first lift or second lift to the rod, because I'm so close to the bottom. I think, oh my God, here we go. You just know you got to get done.
Do you hit the bottom?
I hit the bottom, yeah, hit the bottom. Totally, Tom, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. I suggest you guys do it.
So you
Lure sales.
drag right out and hold on and
Pretty much.
Yeah, so you drag, when you're jigging, guys, I didn't set this shows before, but you want to have your drag, like you nearly cannot rip it off. If you're using 50-pound braid, though, if you guys in closer, you might want to, still have it tight, but don't have it, because that hit is going to can break 50 pound. Using 80 though, it's very hard to break 80 even on a quick sudden jerk. So my drags then, like, you can't nearly pull it off. But those little kingfish, they just rip it off. I don't know how they do it. They do it. Yeah. So I'm just going to go to the second scenario now. This is complete opposite. So second scenario, let's take that line out there too, sorry. So the next scenario here, guys, is Wind's only 7 knots, like 5 to 7 knots. So there's no white caps. It's just a little gentle breeze, and the current's ripping, so it's still 1.6 knots. But the wind's actually coming from the southeast, so you got a little bit of wind, got a bit of current. So a lot of guys make a mistake. Okay, got a southeast blowing, and it might just be a little bit of puff coming through, about 8 knots or whatever. So most guys they'll come from the seaway up to here, and then they'll sounder into the wind, into the wind sort of thing, and go down to here and think, okay, I'll stop about here. And I'll drift back with the southeast wind over the spot. But what they don't realise is the current, you're actually drifting against the wind with the current. So you'll end up, you'll stop there, drop your lines down, and then you look back at the GPS and you're slowly going, this way with the current. Okay, you're not actually you're going against the wind. So on those days, again, you do the blind drift. You come out here, pull up, and you think, okay, wind's blowing southeast, I should go that way, as I said before, but you realise you're not, you're going that way. So in that case, it's complete opposite. You get rid of all that, and you actually start your drift up here, and you actually go to drift against the wind. But because you've got a little bit of more current than wind, so the wind's going to be, direction of the drift's going to be not the direction the wind's blowing. It's going to be actually sort of side onto it, that makes sense, or a little bit quarter onto it. So you drift, even though it's coming from that way, the wind, the current's going that way. So your drift's actually going to be probably going to be more in this direction, sort of thing, straight down nearly. So you'll need to start again over here and sort of come down across it. But as you do each drift, like I showed it before, but you'll do one drift there like that. If you don't get many fish, or maybe you got fish here, always mark your screen when you get a fish on. Straight away mark it with a whatever. Save a GPS mark, whatever. Next drift you go up, you might want to just go across about 30 metres to that side and do your next drift down through here. You're going to hit that spot right there. Here, you're going to nail that one. The next drift you might go to the outside, 30 metres across, and you're going to nail that one, the big one, on the way through. And the next drift you might go over here and crisscross it. So, and every time you go back up for another drift, always go out wide and come in. Go out wide and go like that. Stay away. Don't sounder over it too much if you can. I don't know if it makes any difference, but just a mental thing for me, I'd always go out wide and come back down. It also gives me some perspective to how I've drifted on that day. So, like my GPS is just like a maze of lines. But as I always say, don't ever wipe that, because you know on that day, that was your starting point up here, and you're drifting on that angle like that. So next time you get the winds and current similar, you do the same scenario. And from previous trip, I might have had another trip and it was blowing easterly and my drift was like this with a bit of current. So I've got those lines on there too. And each time I've gone back up around here, back around this way, sort of thing. And I know, okay, the wind's blowing northeast today, that's the drift I'm going to do. So keep your lines on there, because they're really good helpers to know where to start your drift and end your drift and what to do on that day. Make sense? Everyone cool with that? Yep. Okay, so as I said, you've got to do a blind drift every time you go out before you actually drop your line down. You may can drop his line down if he wants to go, but you're going to be on the sand. You might get tired. There's one guy out of the way. But yeah.
These knife jigs, you pretty much try to drop it on your head. Yeah.
Vertical on the spot. Yeah, so that's what I'm saying. Don't go too far past the mark.
Yeah.
Depends on how fast your drift is. If you drift quite fast, obviously you've got to go up a little bit further.
You're drifting back over the top of the drop it on.
Yeah, that's right. You're trying to land in here, in here, sort of thing.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, and these guys will follow it up to here somewhere, They'll come up. And quite often you're just about to rip it back up and they'll just nail it. Or if you do the first rip, because you're over it and you line something with an angle, and you just bring it to the top and down again to keep it vertical. At that point they'll hit it. I think they've got like a safe area, and at that point they'll just either nail it or they'll peel away, Yeah. Okay, action. As I said, everyone's got different action. I like to, obviously when I'm dropping it down, I'm sorry, Stuart, let's get here for a sec. I always, when I drop it down, I always just hold it and I hold it down like that so it falls quicker. That's just a habit of mine, rather than just holding it down and letting it come off the end and pulling off. That angle, I reckon, takes away probably 20% of the fall angle. So by the time you get it out, it's going to be 20% more further out. But if I hold like that, just vertical down like that, and it goes straight down, it lands straight down. Okay, doesn't matter how big the jig is or how big my line is. It's just a habit I got. That's on a spin, and then and obviously my drag's set quite tight before I do that. So always check your drag first. So probably just a little bit less. Yeah, it's going to be around that sort of thing. It's quite tight. You can feel that later if you want. But that's about where I'd have it set at. I'll put the mono on so it doesn't cut your hands. I'll pass this around. I'll leave the rod, otherwise you won't be able to do it. So just don't hit yourself. There's no fans, so I'm happy to pass it around. It's quite tight.
I guess in that way, that's where the spin would be better, and then you've got the resistance of the reel than
That's correct. That is correct. But believe it or not, it comes like
Falls nicer off an
falls.
overhead.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
It falls off quicker than that on the first maybe 20 metres or 30 metres, but once it gets that little lip, it starts to slow down. Resistance starts to kick in. Where an overhead, it's the momentum that gets it going, and once it's going down, it just keeps going. Yeah. So go back to the action. So just grab Exhibit A. So I've got my drag set. I've dropped it down. I've hit the bottom. I click it back. A lot of these bigger, more expensive reels don't click back with the handle. You got to actually do it manually. You've got to watch your line at that last sort of at this section here. So from here down, as Stewie said, you've got your colours. You sort of know roughly where you are, because sometimes they will hit on the fall. So you'll just, if you're going down, all of a sudden it'll start going faster. You go, shit, you're hitting the way down. You just got to click it straight back. But getting it back sometimes when you've got a fish on can be a bit hard, because you're fighting the bar arm across a fish that's peeling line out, right? So once you get across though, you've just got to try and get into it straight away and get him off the bottom. Whether you fish it right under your arm or whether you put it here, it's up to you guys. If it's a really big fish, you've got to fish it this way. You can't do it under your arms too hard. The other thing too, I suggest too, under your arms, make sure you've got at least 2 layers of clothes on. Because if you've got hairy armpits, you'll get ripped the hairs out. And if you have got hairy armpits, you'll get a bit of a rub there as well. It's pretty hard on you. But technique, so jigging, it's just the actions. You just got to get the timing right, and you just got to work it out. So it's come out. Really important. And every now and then do a rip, like we said earlier, but especially on the lighter ones. Okay. Stu, your action, mate?
So I'm a bit opposite to Dougie, but when I let it sink, I don't change that or anything, but I kind of rip the rod up and dump loose line. I reckon it works it down. So it slows it down and speeds it up on the sink.
Yeah, okay. Yep.
So I kind of pull a little bit of line, like it'll sink, it'll have pressure on there, I'll pull it up, so it's going to slow the jig up, and then dump the loose line, it's going to speed up. Do it again. You know, click it over as soon as it hits the bottom or the line stops, and then I'll wind around it, wind around the handle, if that makes sense. More jigging, less winding. If that makes sense. Yeah.
So not super speed.
Not really, no.
You're just taking the slack up sort of thing.
Pretty much. Yeah. Yeah,
I
just
reckon he does it all the time.
Fast as you can, though.
Yeah.
Fast as you can.
No, Stewie's actually a very good jigger, and I'm pretty impressed at his action. It works, that's for sure. Yeah. But like I said, with an overhead, it's a little bit different. An overhead, you definitely got to fish under your arm. It's just the way it is. So with an overhead, oops, big octopus on the end here. Have any of you guys ever used these things before? Yeah. Yeah, they'll work on kingies too, but definitely on obviously on pearlies and stuff. Just hook this up for a sec because it's a bit dangerous. So with your under your arm, you sort of like, you tuck it right up under your arm, and your hand should be embracing it like that. Does that make sense? You can see that? So 2 fingers under there, hand over the top like that. You can control it with your thumb as well. And it's just all part of the parcel. It's like part of your body. I know you feel like that too, Stewie. It becomes like part of you, if that makes sense. It's a lot more at home than a spin rod, but I tend to find the spin rod works better on fast jigging. But with this one here, it's the same deal, up and down sort of thing. Just got to get it right. But some reels are faster than others. So if you're using a high-speed reel, please remember, guys, a high-speed reel has a tendency to obviously works the lure nicely. You can get your rhythm a lot easier because it's not so fast winding it. The problem is that when you hook a fish up, the turning power is not as strong. So a low gear ratio is a lot more powerful to turn the fish. You can get a bit of leeway on him, but at high speed you've got to actually pump the fish sometimes to get him up. Does that make sense? Use the rod more than the reel. I'll explain any better than that, Stu.
Yeah. The biggest thing is like it's very awkward with a high-speed reel. If you say lift your rod, and they always want to pull back, so they're going to pull back as well while you dip the rod to wind it. It's very hard to lift the rod and get, like on a low-speed reel, you get a full turn on it. Whereas a high-speed reel, you might get half a turn. It's very hard to get momentum on your side. It's like they're gaining more than you're taking. Yeah.
Has anyone noticed that a big fish on high speed? What I'm talking about? Doesn't matter. Yeah. Sorry.
What's the trick? How do you do it?
How do you do it? You just got to use the rod. So you got to lift. Don't want to lift too high. 'Cause you're a high sticker, but you got to lift the rod as much as you can and wind as fast as you can on the way down, and just use the rod more. Yeah, that's like that. Yeah, it's yeah. So some guys asked about the overhead. So how many guys here wind left-handed, by the way? Okay, both ways. Yeah, okay.
Because you're getting old, and you especially when you can't.
Change hands. That's good.
You get even a spin rod.
Yeah.
A real handle on both sides.
Yeah, my dad does that actually. He sounds like you. Yeah.
I just turn the tape off and turn it around, put them on the opposite side.
Yeah. Okay. So a lot of guys ask about left hands and overheads. There's not many made guys, so you can't do much about it. That's what I'm getting at. Learn to do right hand and overheads. And there's only a limited amount you can get. Big ones are very hard to get. Small ones, there's quite a few. Yeah. Okay. Any questions on that at all, guys? No. Okay. Okay. So we know how to do it. Jigging action, jigs. You got to play around a bit on the day, okay, and change your rhythm, change different styles. Understanding your drift is so important. So know obviously where the fish are first, which we go to GPS marks in a minute, and then work out your drift pattern and stick to the same sort of drift as you do. But you know, we all know that when it's variable, it's even harder because sometimes you'll drift that way, and the wind sort of goes around more this way, and the next drift you go in complete opposite, and that's just part of the parcel. So that's fishing, exactly right. You just got to go with it. Okay, GPS marks. I'll go to here now real quickly on this. So you got a sheet there, mate? I didn't get one up there, mate. Yeah. So guys, how many guys have not been out to 50 Fathom Reef? I'll tell you. It's one spot and I'll say it 3 times. No. How many guys have not been out to 50 Fathom Reef yet? Okay, how big's your boat, mate?
Well, which one? We've got 4.
Yeah, oh, you've got 4 now,
We
okay.
just want another one.
Okay.
2 weeks ago.
Have you got a 5 metre one?
Yeah,
Yeah.
they're all over 5.
Oh, okay.
Over 5 meters.
Oh, you're fine then. Okay. So, and how big's your boats, guys? 4.8? 4.8? Yeah, okay. So I've got a little 4.8 Hornet, but it's a low-sided one. So I've taken that to 42 fathoms. I haven't taken the 50s yet. What's it, mate? Oh, I was steep then. Okay. So on any days under like 10 or 12 knots, you'll be fine. I'm not saying you'll be fine, but you'll be okay. Actually. You should be okay. Take back what I said. You'll be so careful these days. Yeah. Just obviously, I wouldn't go out there in your size boat if the swell's over, say, 1.2 metres. Only because you get wind against current and sometimes you get waves that'll roll a bit. For the guys that got bigger boats, has anyone been out there in a strong southerly current, northerly to south current with the southerly wind blowing 15 or 20 knots? and had the waves sort of curl over and break. So you can be really careful, guys, okay? Wind against current's nearly as bad as a westerly wind. Westerly wind's the worst. And the worst thing about westerly wind is you're going with it, so it's not too bad. And then when you get there and turn around, it's like, holy shit, this is terrible. So always stop, maybe just check it out. And if it's getting a bit rougher, I'd probably see what we got in the area, okay? And this time of the year is westerly, so that's why I'm saying it. And westerly wind out to about 30, 40 metres deep is really nice, but over that it gets worse, then beyond that it gets even more worse, and beyond that it's scary. So even just a metre chop, it's like surf waves breaking from the west, because it's wind against swell, sorry. Okay, so the under 70 metres deep, especially for a couple of gentlemen here, that's most of that is on the back side of the 36 fathom reefs, and the last two, the 2811 2 marks, is the 9 mile, the back corner of the 9 mile. Okay. We caught a lot of kingies there over the years. Using smaller jigs, so like 120 grams or 80 to about 120, because it's only 40 metres deep, 45 metres deep.
So would you be using like more flutter?
Yeah, you get them on flutter ones there too. And you'll get other things like, I've caught yellow sweet lip emperor there, and on jigs as well. Yeah, green jobfish as well. Yeah, different stuff. For the gentleman from Brisbane, if you want to go not too far, the Sevens Reef is the same sort of scenario of point look out there. So I think it's on more the southern end, more than the southeast. It's the southern end of it. It's quite steep, and that's you get kingies there as well. But all the other spots, guys, 2748 is just south of Jumping Pin. The Seaway is 2756, so those marks from 2756. This is the under 70 metre one. Up to 48, sort of like just south of Jumping Pin to the Seaway. 2758, 59, 2801, that's sort of off like surface area, and 02. 2805 is off Burleigh, 2809 is off Kira, 2810 sort of off Tweed. Okay. And on the 36s, but that 2805, 40, that's a really good spot for kings and amberjack. And the one below it, of Kira, 2809, is a great spot too. Okay, there's often traps at those spots there too, guys, so you'll see the fish traps there. You've got to have a New South Wales licence though to go in these areas. So anything south of about 2805, you need a New South Wales licence. The fisheries will come up that way too from New South Wales to check you. 85 to 120 metres deep. This one I've gone through and got most of these are really good got marks, guys. Sacrificed. But I get a lot of big snap at these spots too below. But 2735, you're about halfway up North Stratty. Okay? So it's a fair run up. It's about 55 k's for the Seaway up to there. As I said, jump in's about 2743, so you got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 marks jumping pin north. Okay. Then the 2742 area, 2742, there's 3 marks there. That's we used to call that spot family. Some people call it the wall. I've been fishing that spot since the late 80s. That's always been my go-to spot for big king. I've got my biggest amberjack there too. Lost, I don't know how many fish I've lost there. Big ones, but anyhow, that's the honey hole, guys. Sorry? 2742 and 153.43. Yeah, northeast. Yeah, it's off the jumping pin. And it's on the western side. Do you mind if I just scrub this off? If anyone finished with this, everyone got this okay? Go. Show you exactly how the reef looks. Oh, no, that's true. Epi, not Epi, Icky Jimmy. EK. So for those of you who didn't get it before, that's the name of the thing. Is that right, Greg? Ikijimi. So if you look at that on your app, you'll see the app, okay? It shows you in 3D where to put the pin through. Okay, so that reef there, if I'm zoomed in, and that's say 0 to 100. On the, I'll do it from this side. So on the west side of it, so on the west side of the reef, guys, it's got a wall that comes from about 87, 88 metres straight up to about 80. It's like vertical. So obviously it won't be that big, it'll be about that, probably about that. Then I'll taper down. And on this side here, it'll look something like this sort of thing. And all the big fish are here on that front wall. And they just smash it, they just get you along that ledge. That ledge is about, roughly about 300 metres long, and it's a big face along the front of it. It's about an 8 to 10 metre rise on that face, and that's where the fish are. So that, so the variance there, actually the third one down, sorry, 25, yeah, the third one down, 27, 42, 47, should be in the middle, sorry, and the 663 should be below it. So it's from 27, 42, 057 down to 27, 42, 663 is the bottom end of it. That's about half a mile. So yeah, it might be around 400 or 500, maybe a bit more, 700 metres long. It's quite a big ledge. You can fish 3 or 4 boats along it, no problems at all. But that's, sometimes the fish are up top here. I've been out there and they've not been there, they've been on this side over here. And the bait's been over here. But generally the bait's sitting on this here, and they're just sitting all the way through here. You just got to look around the day, okay? Holds a lot of fish, like a lot. The other really good spot there, guys, is that 2800 and 2801. Does anyone fish there? That's the East 50s. Anyone fish there at all? That's where we so we fish there now. This is till about August, and then September we go further south down to that 2800, 2801. That area there is where we fish and get like 20 or 30 kingies and amberjacks in a session. You're only allowed to keep 2 though, please remember that, per person. Yeah, per person.
Is that either or either?
Either or either, correct, yeah, either or either. And Samson, I think, is included in there too, I think.
They all taste the same?
Good question. The kingies are more oily. The kingi probably cooks up better, the best.
Yeah, right.
So, and the wings on kingies are really good, Japanese styles in a griller.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, with like miso paste or soy on it, whatever on above it. Yeah, it's really good, really good. So cut the whole wing out to one big piece. Yeah, it's really good. And just fold it flat. Cut down the center so it folds flat. And then put oil on before you put the sprinkle on the top. Yeah, it's really good.
Cool.
Yep. It's very expensive in restaurants, that part. Yeah. But the 2800, 2801 guys, so September, October, November, up to November, when the current starts to kick in, it's just a great spot. It's a good drift. It's about, well, you can see there, it's a mile long, so 2K's 1.6K long, and you can do 3 fish drift if the current's running at 1.5, 2 knots. You get time to get fish up, unhook it, drop back down, straight back in it again. And they're all the way along there, okay?
That was a 2800, is it?
Yeah, 2800, 2801, Greg. Yep. The next few spots is in about, a little bit deeper, it's in about that 2003, 08, 09, it's in 153.47, that's in about 98 metres. So It's where I get pearlies, but I get a lot of kings and amberjacks there when I'm pearly fishing. So it's unintentional on my bait actually. I haven't actually jigged there, but I know they're there. I've got mates that jig out there. The 28, 12 and 13, that's the deep southern. So they're there. So it's really weird. They're there now and they're up off jumping pin now. And then I don't know if they all meet in the middle in September, October, November. They seem to disappear there. You get the odd ones. And they all meet there, if that makes sense. But this time of year is when you get the bigger ones. So if you want to go down Tweed to deep southern, anyone fish down deep southern at all? Yeah, you know it won't. Very hard to get a big fish up off of there. It's very rugged bottom. There's so many big kings and amberjacks there. You just get smashed. So you've got to use a 100-pound leader there, or maybe 130. And I suggest 80-pound braid at least, if not 100, to get them up. Well, 20 kilo, sort of average, 15, 20 kilo. Yeah, it's a great spot though. If you're in the snapper, all these spots catch snapper too, guys, just to let you know that. And pearlies. So, yeah, give that a go. So, you've got heaps of spots to try. Go give it a crack. Yep. Okay. Any questions on the marks at all, guys? Unfortunately, I've got nothing but the 9 mile for 24s because you're just going to waste your time. Okay, this is by fluke you get one on the 24s, which some guys do, but they're generally live baiting for jewies or mackerel or something like that. It's just bycatch.
You bet guys get them in the seaway even.
Yeah, you do. You get them inside the. I've caught them in the Broadwater at North all the way break. Sorry, mate.
Sometimes they'll bust up.
Yeah, they do. They bust up front of the tower there and that, chasing bait. But that's different. You're using poppers and stick baits, or sluggos or something like that. You're not using jigs. Yep. You need to get out there. But do that technique that we're talking about anywhere around Australia in that, especially that 80 to 100 metre mark. It's like the magic area, or 80 to 120 metre mark. Up north, south, doesn't matter. You find the bait, you'll find the fish. That's probably about all I can tell you on that one. So you want to add to it, mate?
No, I don't think so. I think that's pretty much it. Yeah.
Yeah. Some days you get, unfortunately, if you get like a west sea wind blowing, say it's blowing a light 5 to 10 knots for the west, there's not much current. On days like that, you're going to start your drift over here, guys, on this spot and drift. You're going to hit that wall first up, and because you're going to drift this way, right, across it. That's facing west. That's the east side. You start your drift over here, come across it. So when you get a fish in that situation, it's really hard to get the fish off the ledge. It's a killer. So, but that's at that particular spot. Not,
Hook up and drive that way.
well, it's like that. Yeah, that's right. Hopefully, yeah. Or you hook it up down the bottom end of it where it tapers off to sand, you know. But this weekend on Saturday, if you're going to give it a crack, that's what you're going to face, I think. You're going to have northwest. And if you're going to go to that spot, that 2742 spot, just be prepared to lose a few fish. The other problem you got is sharks. Sharks are really bad at the moment everywhere. So, I don't know about the sharks disappearing, but anyhow.
Do you jig them and then drive away?
If you've got 80-pound braid, you can maybe give it a crack.
Yep.
Pretty hard though. They'll get you the first 5 seconds. Yeah. If you can keep them on for about 15 or 20 seconds, you'll generally get them up. It's just that first initial thing that'll get you on the bottom, the real big one. Yep. And then once you've got them turned and you've got them halfway up, or if you get hit, as I said, nearly halfway up, you're pretty well, they might take you down another 20 metres, or they won't get you back to the bottom, but then you got the sharks are the problem. Yeah, so as I fish such a tight drag, you just got to rip into them. Those hooks don't come out, they stay in there. Yeah, they stay in. And a lot of time you got 2 hooks. A lot of time you get two kings or amberjacks at once, guys. I don't think I've ever caught a king and amberjack side by side, but I've definitely caught double kings a lot of times. So you get 2 fish on, and they're actually easy to pull up. They're just heavy. Yeah, they're fighting each other. I would dare say that this year, one of you guys, or a few of you guys, will get that double hookup job, especially at that 2801 spot in September, October, November. The fish are a little bit smaller. The average is probably about 4 to 8 kilos or 4 to 6 kilos. And but numbers are enhanced greatly. Yeah, so a lot of two fish hookups. on the jigs. That's probably about it, Stu, I think.
Yeah.
Any other questions at all, guys? Does anything you want to know other than that tonight?
If you're jigging with this one,
Can you just turn around sideways? Yep, that's correct.
what's the bottom loop for?
So if you want to do a slow pitch style, like you can still use that slow, but won't work as good, won't flutter as good. Every jig has the hook on the wire on because they do a return internal like that sort of thing. And if the wire just went into the thing, didn't pop out the bottom, it'll pull out easier. It's the strength in it, yeah. Yeah. That's all right. No worries. Any other questions at all,
Can
guys?
those slow pitch jigs
Yes.
be used on your rods that you were showing us before?
100%. Yeah, they can. They're not as good at action, but your reel's doing the action then, not the rod. Your timing. Yeah, so you're just lifting it and it's fluttering away. Whereas if we're like a proper slow pitch rod is like that one Stu's got right there, and we catch kingies on this little rod too. Getting them up's a bit hard, but we hook them, I should say. Obviously, we use it more for pearlies and stuff like that. But that's the slow pitch rod. The tip's really soft, so when you sort of lift it, it sort of springs the lure up and it flutters away as you take up slack. It's a little bit different. The reason why that one there's it's still a slow pitch rod and it's so heavy is because the jig's 800 grams or 900 grams, so it's actually bending the rod.
So if you're lifting about 2 metres?
Yeah, about 2 metres.
Gaining like on each wind, I guess.
About a metre, 1.3 metres, 1.2. On the 20,000, they're about 1.3, I think.
Yeah, something like that. It's a metre.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And on a little 5,000, it's only about probably a metre.
Okay, cool.
Yeah. So you sort of, as I was saying, you sort of get the timing so as you drop the rod tip back down, you've already caught up to it to do the next lift up. You get that timing right. It's sort of like that sort of action, if that makes sense. Yeah, where Stewie's sort of he's just doing it winding all the time. I sort of get that sort of action. But you'll work it out, Tom. Yeah, you'll work it out, mate. But it is a little bit of thing. It's one, as I said before, you've got to get the rhythm right. If your mate's doing something that looks weird, because he's got an epileptic or something, and he's doing well, though, do the same thing. Yeah. It is true. You know, my son Jack, he only jigs. He's a crazy lure fisherman, and since he's a little boy, like I don't know, 6 or 8 years old, his technique is I watch him what he does, and I'd be jigging like crazy, and get the odd fish, and he'd just be doing like kids stuff, I guess. I don't know, and he'd be hooked up straight away all the time, you know. So I slow my pace down. Next one I'd hook up. So you got to work it out on the day. As I said, watch your mates, especially the one hooked up the most. Stu watches me all the time.
Yeah, to get that one in, didn't you?
Yeah, but does he get any of mine?
That's true.
Yeah.
Anyhow, we'll get back to that one. Is there any questions on anything else, little guys?
Well done, mate. Well done.
Oh no, sorry. If you want to learn anything else about any other fishing,
What knot are you tying when you're up around 130?
like I'm nearly at the point of crimping, but I just use a uni knot. Yeah, uni knot seems to hold out pretty good, you know. I don't know what you use.
Yeah, just a uni knot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But pull the tag with a pair of pliers, mate. One thing you've got to do is you've got to pull the tag up with a pair of pliers.
Yeah, just to lock it.
Yeah. And wet it before you pull it. And then you'll need to then pull it back down, because when you pull the pliers, it pulls it up a bit of a loop. So just wet it again and pull it back down again. Yeah, anything over it's sort of 100. A cheap 100 pound or 80 pound, you really got to use pliers in the tag. But a good quality one, 100 pound is by hand's all right. 130, you'll need to use the pliers. Okay. Any other questions at all? No, everyone's good. Okay, go and do it, please. Okay, the draw. We're going to do the draw. Yeah. So.
I'll just make sure all the numbers are in there.
Yeah. Let's get Stu to check the numbers off. Which one, man? Oh, sorry. Yeah, sorry. Yeah. Just while we organise our cousins to win it. Just joking. Guys, this weekend, so yeah, go out Friday, Saturday, give it a crack. Anyone going tomorrow? I'm jealous of you. Stu's just going through the numbers, get the lights out. Did you normally do that, though? Stu's taking control here. Do a good job, Stu. Yeah, so tomorrow it's going to be pretty good. It's about Saturday's better, guys. Just so you know that.
Golf Saturday.
Go on Saturday, yep.
Hey, golf Saturday.
Oh, golf Saturday.
Fishing tomorrow, golf Saturday.
Oh,
What's the deal with the boat ramps on Saturday?
well. Yeah, so this is a problem. You get the marathon on, guys. So if you got someone, if you know someone lives on the canal, that's where your boat's going to go on Friday night. No, they'll start doing it midnight on Friday night or something. So anytime after 4 o'clock, it's closed, I think. So choices are, I think Bigger Creek you might get in on.
No, I think that's
It's
closed.
closed too, is it?
Yeah.
Okay, Paradise Point, Buzz Beach, and maybe no, you won't get to
You won't be able to get to
Spit.
SeaWorld, no.
No,
Buzz Beach is Buzz Beach.
Hope Island?
Hope Island might be
Island,
right.
yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know if you can do Smith Street.
No.
Like go down and just go straight across.
No, it's closed off.
Close it?
No. No, it's closed. It's blocked off.
Yeah.
Yeah. So the whole front's blocked off. The grand's blocked off. Everything's blocked off. Yeah. Anyhow, that's the way it is. And the weather looks not too bad for Saturday. So we got, as I said, well, it's just meant to rain actually, but it doesn't really come into about Monday, Tuesday, the rain. Might be the odd shower, but not much. Yeah. Okay, we're going to do the draw. So first prize tonight, guys, is about $500 worth of gear. And I'll just get these rods out of the way. Oh, is that turn off something? I'll turn on. Turn off. So, I have to do this. Fine. Sorry, Stuart. Let's throw those over there. Thanks, Bert. Okay. So, Stewie, if you have the luxury, right? You know who to blame if you don't get it, guys.
Number 23.
Which is George. You, mate? Well done, buddy. You won't need to buy jigs for a while. Go on, George.
Thanks, mate.
Cheers, buddy. Well done. Cheers,
Thanks,
mate.
mate.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, next one I think still around $300. Number 10.
Yes.
Is you, Mike? Oh, well done, buddy. Congratulations, mate. Hey, buddy. Well done. Thank you. So we've had about $1,500 for the gear tonight, guys. So well done to those who are the winners. Almost like a chance. Up the front nearly, number 5.
Hey!
Well done. Congratulations.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, mate.
Cheers, mate.
Cheers, mate. Okay, fourth one, I think it's still well over $100. Stewie.